Good morning. This is Paul Sanneman with Business Success Tips. We're going to learn how to make more money in less time and have more fun, emphasis on the have more fun part. I'm excited this morning because we have OnPurpose Media. We have the guys that own the company, which is Evan Hoffman and Thaddeus Tondu. And so I'm going to turn over to you guys. And I guess the first question I ask people, I'll leave this to Evan. Evan, why should somebody listen to you?
We actually care about
they shouldn't listen to him.
No, it's we actually give a crap in terms of contractor success. I mean, both Thaddeus and I have had years of experience around marketing in general, running a business. We've both run our own businesses in the past, built teams, had to build our own customer service staff, sales staff, all of that. And then for myself, I also was a comfort advisor selling HVAC equipment. So got my hands into the trades. And that was one of the first things I did there was talking about, well, why are we doing all Home Depot leads instead of generating our own? And so started to teach them a little bit about digital marketing and venturing out into different things other than just doing Home Depot leads. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, we actually
done that. So Thaddeus, tell me how OnPurpose got started, OnPurpose Media, and actually what it does.
Sure. So, what we do, so we are a home services marketing company with a flair for HVAC is what we call it. So we have a lot of clients that are in the HVAC space. I mean, we do plumbing, we do electrical, any other broader home services, carpet installation companies, et cetera. And so that's what we do. We specialize specifically in SEO, PPC, and website design. Those are our three biggest core offerings. And we do some other
Slow down.
Sorry.
Explain those to the audience because some of them have no clue what you're talking about.
Perfect. So website's pretty straightforward, right?
Website's easy. Okay.
Right. The website's easy. SEO is search engine optimization. And, there's two things that go involved with that. And one is showing up in the Google Maps. So if you were to search your services near me, you're going to see 4 different things that are going to show up on there. You're going to see paid ads at the top. And then in the maps is where you're going to see a bunch of company names. And that's local SEO showing up in the map pack, search engine optimization. Okay. Below that is your search engine results, where that's the organic traffic. They're going to click over to your website. They're going to view it. They're going to get a little bit more information. So SEO and search engine optimization is making sure that your business appears when people search out, your, keyword near me, any sort of a keyword specifically for your business, be able to show up and they're going to click through that. Okay. PPC as pay-per-click, which is Google Ads. So I mentioned earlier, there's going to be 2 things that are on the top. Your ads, depending on the industry that you're in, some have local service ads or Google guaranteed at the very top. And then they have Google Ads, which is PPC below that. And then it's the map rankings, and then it's the local search results. And sometimes as you scroll, you're going to see more PPC or Google Ads as you continue to scroll down to the bottom. So that's what those things are. And that's what our specialty is making sure that people are showing up in those specific areas. In terms of how OnPurpose Media was born, it was really born out of frustration. And when we think about, the digital marketing and, the connotations that happen there with digital marketing, it's like, oh, those digital marketing agencies are a bunch of crooks.
Well, I will tell you that I'm in the industry. They say, oh, I pay the guy $1,000 a month and nothing happens, right?
Right.
I have a couple of clients that have been there, done that. And they said, yeah, it sounded good, like a good idea, but I paid $1,000 a month or whatever they paid a month.
Right.
I didn't know what it was and didn't change my life at all.
Cheap, fast, and good. Choose 2.
That's it.
Right. Like, what do you want? Right. And so when you pay somebody $500 a month or $1,000 a month for SEO, generally it's not going to work depending on the specific things. And like, we've got some programs that are just specifically, Google Business Profile. Right. But if you're doing it the right way, by and large, you need to make an investment into your digital architecture and your digital processes in order to be able to maximize what you're doing. Right.
Now, 2 questions. Where does it come into the review thing? Like, you get reviews, and where do you look at the ROI? How do you tell whether the client came from their neighbor who just happened to go to the SEO and find you versus somebody who had no clue and you've actually got the lead for them they wouldn't get any other way?
I know, but
let me ask you this in terms of the ROI, Paul. How do you measure the ROI of your mother's hug as a child?
Well, it depends on how often she hugged me. So, I guess what one of the issues I have with them, some of the marketing agencies, they go,
Yeah.
well, we're building your identity. We're building, it's hard to tell where it comes from, right? We're building your image. We're building your, corporate blah, blah, blah. And so how do I know, or if it's even possible these days to know what, if I'm spending, pick a number, I don't know, 30,000 a year, whatever I'm spending on marketing, how do I know that it paid for itself or not? Can I tell, or I just have to have faith?
You can tell to an extent. But it depends on what it is that you're investing in. And then it depends on what tracking systems you have in place in order to get that information back. Because at the end of the day, let's say you've got a specific phone number on your van that you want to track whether that lead came from your van, and you've got a different phone number that's on your billboard, and you got a different phone number that's on the radio ad. But the problem is that when people see those things and they pick up this little guy here, they don't actually dial out the phone number that they see. They Google it. And so Google ends up with all the credit. Thad and I used to run print magazines before we started the digital company. And that was one of the pitfalls of doing print, is that it's really difficult to track. But at the end of the day, what is the purpose of that medium? And when it comes to print, when it comes to radio, when it comes to TV ads, it's all about branding. When it comes to Google ads, it's about leads. And Google ads are much easier to track because you click on a lead, it follows through to a landing page or to your website. You can have the phone number changed on the website if they click that phone number or they dial it, so that you can track directly where that lead came from. If they fill out the form on the site, it will track it back to Google as well as a conversion for Google ads. So Google ads is way easier to track than anything else because they are typing in a specific term. And if your agency or marketing partner, or if you yourself is doing it really effectively and intelligently, you're going to have two different campaigns set up. One for branded search, meaning I'm typing in Bob's Contracting Company versus contractor near me or bathroom remodeler near me. Those are going to come up with different results. And that's going to determine whether or not your marketing company is really doing an effective job on the ad side of things. The SEO side of things is your phone calls continuing to increase throughout the year. That means you're showing up a little bit more. And then there's the rank tracking that they can provide back to you in terms of, are your Google rankings, how high you're showing on the Google search result page? Is that increasing month over month? And do you have access to all those tracking pieces of information? I just got off the phone with a business right before this. The company that they're working with right now was almost offended when they asked if they could see what the numbers have been. We spent 10 grand last month in Google ads. Can we see what those results were? Can we see where those searches came from? Where was that money spent? And the company was offended that they were asking for this. Like, don't you trust us?
Well, the answer is no.
Right. Absolutely. It shouldn't be. Right. When we run ads for any of our clients, we do it in their ad account so that they can see everything. There's this one button, and we show clients this when we walk through Google ads. All you need to do is this one thing. It's called change history. And you can see how often the agency that you're working with has changed and worked in your ad account.
I see. So you can tell whether they're sort of doing their job or not. So I'm sure a lot of people, ask you guys, well, is it worth it? I mean, I know contractors are frugal as a group. They don't want to spend it, especially on marketing, right? I answer the phone and do a good job. I'm done marketing, right? So when I'm trying to convince people to have a marketing budget and recruiting budget, they go, nah, I don't know about either one of those, right? So let's start with the marketing side. So how do you justify and build a marketing budget for a company that's doing, I'm picking a number, 3 million or something? How do you help structure that? Or you just say how much you want to spend? How does that work?
Well, it's almost, you got to reverse engineer it, right? And so what's the business you are and what's the business you want to become? What are your goals? What are you looking at? And so let's use 3 million as this example. And so let's say you're going to finish up 2023 at $3 million per year. Next year, you want to be a $4 million per year company,
right?
5 million, insert whatever goal number it is, but let's just go with $4 million. Okay. Well, in 2024, let's plan your budget around a $4 million year. Now, how hard do you want to grow? You can be anywhere from 5 to 15% of your revenues back into marketing. Okay?
Now, I know a bunch of contractors are now shaking their boots or going, what?
Right?
10 to 15. They haven't got 1%, let alone 10 to 15%, right?
But again, do you want like,
so how do you convince some guy who, how do you convince a guy who is quote doing fine, and I haven't had a marketing budget, And I see clients came to find me. I work on referrals, right? And my reputation. And so when you say I want, let's say 10% or 15, that's like 30, 40, 50,000 bucks, something like that, right? And they're going to go, I could buy a new Tesla for that. Why should I pay it to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
well, yeah, it's again, do you want to be running a serious business or not? You know, do you want to be happy with where you're at or not? And by the way, being happy with where you're at is great. If you want to continue to be that business and you don't want to grow to a $4 or $5 or $6 million business, heck, if you're still a business that is just you by yourself doing $500,000 to $1 million, $500,000 to $1 million per year, and you're happy doing that, great, keep doing that. I'm not saying don't change. Okay, because that is what's going to make you happy, right? But if you really seriously want to grow your business and really get it to the point where you can essentially remove yourself and work on other parts of the business, you're going to need to put in a marketing budget, right? The serious businesses have that. The serious businesses know that doing good work is part of the equation. Referrals is part of the equation. But to be able to grow, referrals aren't going to get you to the size that you need to get it, right? Shit, let's look at Coca-Cola versus Pepsi. Hopefully I can swear on your podcast. I just said
that's
shit.
fine.
So,
I don't care. I don't
okay,
care.
perfect. Because we tend to swear quite a bit on ours. Normally we drink whiskey on our podcast.
I used to start, I had one, what is it? Well, originally, this is 20 years ago, right? We just sat around and drink wine and we had this living. It was fun, but now things are more serious. So go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. So normally we drink whiskey, but I decided at 11 a.m. it's probably not good to have whiskey, so I'll drink water. So I mean, look at Coca-Cola and Pepsi. I mean, why do they continue to spend money on marketing? Isn't referrals good enough for the amount of people that drink Coca-Cola or drink Pepsi? Well, no, because
I mean, I hear that argument, but right? I'm not Coca-Cola. I'm a guy, right? I'm not Coca-Cola or Pepsi. I don't like $1 billion. So the question I've got is, my guess is most people listening to this podcast do not have a marketing budget. I'm guessing they just don't, right? And so I'm going to help me convince them they should even have a marketing budget. So how do you make that case? I'm doing $3 million a year. I'm doing okay. I'm working on referrals. I've got, pick a number. I'm on whatever, some house or whatever. I got a couple of things going there, pay them a little bit of money. I'm on Angie's list, which I think totally sucks, is my opinion. So it's like, I've got these things going on, and you want me to spend like 30,000 on you guys? Show me. Why should I do that?
I would argue right away, well, if you're already doing those things, and guess what? You're marketing. You're spending money on Angie's list. You're spending money on house. So you already have a marketing budget. You just don't know what it is. And you're taking that dartboard approach of, I'm just going to throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Right.
Right. And honestly, the worst thing that you could possibly happen to a contractor that's doing that approach is that something works, because then they just throw more money at it, and it happened by accident.
Now, how do I know it happened by accident or happened on purpose? Is there any way to know?
When you're not tracking things properly, probably not. Right. And one of the things is if you're an air conditioning company and you happen to start running ads in the middle of July and it's 100 degrees outside in Phoenix, guess what? People are going to call you.
Right.
Whether that ad is effective or not, you have no idea.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. I get that.
Exactly. Right? Even a broken clock's right twice a day. So it really comes down to how effective are you at marketing throughout the entire year, not just that 1 month.
Right? So guys, convince me why I should have a marketing budget. Why should I haven't had one in the past? Maybe I do. I have a couple ads. How am I going to know it works? Why should I spend the money? And you always use investment. I've heard that a zillion times, right? So convince me why I should even have a marketing budget, and how am I going to know if it's working? And how do I look at the ROI? I could buy, I could buy I could buy other stuff with that money, right? And so you're asking to put money into a soft good, for lack of a better term. I can't touch it, feel or taste it. And it's sort of scary. I like tractors, I like backhoes, not too into the soft stuff, right? So convince me why I should spend the money and how I'm going to know if it works.
So let me ask you this, and we'll pretend that you're a contractor doing $3 million per year. How big of a business do you want? Are you happy doing $3 million per year?
Well, the issue is I'm doing 3 million. I'm only making like 150, 200 grand, which isn't a lot for 3 million, right? So I get these customers, and they're like cheap. No offense to customers, right? I get that. I'm always like, there's three of us, right? Somebody comes off house and they've looked at four guys and I've got to compete with other guys. They've lowered my price and I don't make any money. And so, I mean, in a perfect world, I would really like people that actually called me one of my services and would pay me the money and would not shop 5 other places. But I don't know how to find those people.
Right. So it sounds like you really want to move away from Angie's in-house. Is that correct?
I went away from showing up like the 5th guy on the doorstep. I don't want to.
Perfect. So generally that's Angie's, that's House. Those are those individuals. It's a race to the bottom in terms of your pricing, which is probably going to impact your margins. So you're not able to hit the net income that you want in your business to be able to get it up higher, you know, in terms of your net, right? So
yeah.
But you want higher paying customers, right? You want better customers.
I want people that appreciate what I do and I'm not a commodity. Right. I'm just not like a guy. I want to print that I have ABC Construction. We do a lot of things differently. I want people to use our company because they like our company. Sometimes that works on referrals. It's great. I get a referral. Somebody comes in because Mary uses this and they use this. We don't compete with anybody else. They pay our prices. We have a great relationship. It doesn't start off with, can you do it cheaper? I'd love those kind of people.
Yeah, referrals are the best form of marketing. I will 100% agree with you right there. But the problem is that there isn't enough referrals to grow your business and be able to get you the net that you want, right? So if you're really serious about growing your business, Paul, and you really want to run it and you really want to get your net income up and to be able to, do those sorts of things, buy your hard goods that you're talking about, buy new vehicles, buy new wraps, you need to do that investment into your business. So it's repositioning your marketing dollars, right? It's taking a look at saying, okay, I'm already spending money in Angie. I'm already spending money on House, but I don't like the quality.
That's no 35,000 a year. That's like, 5,000 a year, right?
Correct. Right. And so, but again, that's what your input versus your output, right? So you're putting in $5,000 in to get shitty leads.
Right.
Well, if you're going to continue to do the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of insanity.
Right.
So if you want to grow your business, you want to take it seriously, you want to grow your net, you're going to have to invest in marketing, whether it's with us or whether it's with another company. That was a tongue twister today. Geez.
That's good, right?
Whether it's with another company, you're still going to have to make an investment somewhere. Now, a clarification point, that $35,000 per month isn't all to us.
No, right? Year, not a month. I'm talking a year, dude.
Oh, for a year. Great. And so that's
I'm not that rich. I mean, pushing 40,000 out of me a year is like, come on, my wife can't even pull that off.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to be a $4 million per year business and you spend 5%, I mean, that's $200,000 in a year. That's $16,000 in a month, right? At the low end of
I'm terrified already. That's crazy. Why would I? It's like, wow, that you're going to pay you more than I pay me. Come on.
But not all of that goes to us. Right? You think about that. So if you're going to invest into something like Facebook ads or Google ads, right? A lot of that portion is going to actually go to Google ads. And so this is actually where on like our calls, we would actually reverse engineer where a person wants to go and show you the numbers based off of the industry, right? And so if you're like, okay, I want to go from 3 million to 4 million, great. We got to find another $1 million in revenue somewhere to be able to grow to that number, right? And the only way to do that is to reverse engineer based off of a business's specific numbers and to use, HVAC as an example, what would be your average ticket? What is your install versus your repair cost? What is your blended ticket number? And then you can actually reverse engineer and show the math. So let me ask you this, Paul, if you wanted to earn $1 million and you can still maintain a 5% net on that, would you spend $40,000 to earn?
Well, 5% net is only what? That's only $50,000, right?
Yeah, I was going if you're 150,000, right? You're earning $150,000 per year at 5% net on $3 million. If you want to earn an extra $50,000 at 5% net, would you spend $40,000 to earn an extra $50,000?
That's a little scary for me. I mean, I guess that's possible. I mean, to tell you that, get off the real thing. The problem with you guys, it's marketing in general, right? It's a concept that contractors they didn't start there, right? They started 2 guys in a truck, they grew their business. They didn't start as PepsiCo. And the idea of a marketing budget and cost per lead and cost per conversion and closing ratios and all that kind of stuff is sort of out of their comfort zone. I mean, I've been a coach for 50 years and I've been trying to pound people in the head to get them to do it. And it's been one of my biggest challenges. Because they go, look, it's working. I just need more customers. And I go, what are you willing to spend per customer? Right. If a customer makes you, let's say, on $100,000 remodel, you make 10% net, that's $10,000, give or take. How much are you willing to spend to get that $10,000 bucks, dollars, 2,000, 3,000, 1,000? And sometimes you can get there that way.
Right.
But in general, you know, the construction industry isn't noted for their marketing expertise, as you probably know, guys, right?
But that's it's everyone in the home service, because very few people come from a business background. They come in as technicians, they come in as contractors. They didn't learn business. They just wanted to help people. And usually they're working in an environment where they see things happening that they don't like, and they think that they can do it better. So they go off on their own, or they think that they can earn more and they go off on their own. And that's where the struggles start to set in, because now you're learning an entirely new trade.
Right. I call it the conversion from a craftsman to a leader, a craftsman entrepreneur. Right. That's a tough road to hoe. And I think part of what you guys are doing, I totally support it, but it's just, I've been beating on people's heads for 50 years to get them to do that stuff, right? And I've heard every objection on the math, and I'm sure you have too.
Absolutely.
Well, and at the end of the day, if somebody is made up in their mind that they're not going to spend money in marketing, then great. There's no amount of role playing that we did. There's no amount of numbers that we can say. There's no amount of anything that we could ever say or do to change their mind, because guess what? Their mind is already made up, and we're not going to be able to change it. If it's scary, then great. You know,
but to me, I think it's an educational issue, guys, because if I knew that I would give you, you know, 50,000 and get back 80,000 or 100,000, I do it every day, right? I mean, that's like 100% ROI or whatever it is. It's to be crazy. But since I'm not, I think the problem is I'm not sure it's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, it's like there's no guarantees. It's like building brand, right? I mean, I'm not sure else it's going to happen. So it's scary to me, put money into something. It's not like I buy a piece of property, I put a house on it and do a split or whatever, you know, build a spec house and make some money. I know what those numbers look like. But in marketing, it's soft goods. In a better term, it's like I have to have faith, for lack of a better term, that the money I spend with you is going to be worth it. And a lot of times, unfortunately, I've spent money, or my buddy down the street has spent money and didn't do anything for him, right? So a lot of times marketing companies, SEOs companies, especially in the construction industry, don't have the biggest reputation for delivering. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And it also comes back to, you know, are you wanting to be an amateur business, or are you wanting to be a professional? Professionals invest in their business at the end of the day. And it's not just on the marketing side. A lot of contractors that we talk to, we turn away a lot because their operations are not on point, and they need to fix that first. Because if you start dumping money into an ad platform of any kind, but you miss 60% of the calls that come into your business, there's no amount of marketing that's going to fix that.
Right.
Great marketing can't fix a bad business.
I know. Also, I had a client that when he was selling 5 houses a week, he's a production builder, a month. He changed marketing companies, and now he's selling 5 houses a week. I mean, it can be huge difference. I mean, and so the question I would say for you guys, I've drank Kool-Aid, I'm going to take a shot at marketing. How do I find a company that I can trust? How do I don't know anything about marketing. I mean, like it's like trying to buy a car and even know what a car is, right? So I'm looking for something, and I don't know how to tell if it's a good one or a bad one. I'm going to go with the guy who's the nicest guy, who I like, who, you know, plays golf like I do or something, right? So how do I choose a marketing company when I don't even know what the hell I'm doing?
The thing with, there's a ton of marketing companies out there. It's just like there's a ton of other businesses out there, and there's really no prerequisite to be a digital marketing company. It's like, great, you got an internet connection and a laptop, or even a cell phone in today's day and age. Great, digital marketer. And so, I mean, that's scary, right? When you're a business owner, I 100% understand that. You know, the big thing now is beware of the companies who only talk about them, right? How often do they ask you about your business? How often do they ask you about your goals? What's your purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing? You know, talking about you, learning your history, learning your revenue. What's your goals? What's going to get you up and get you tick at night, right? Understanding your numbers to see if that's actually something that they can be able to help with. You know, if they only tout themselves, then probably not a good marketing company. If they, and I hate to say this, give you a guarantee, probably not a good marketing company. Because again, I know people want guarantees, they want sureties, but how many guarantees do you got in life? death and taxes, right? Those are the only two things. So nothing is guaranteed. So also kind of be wary of that a little bit as well. Those are my two, anyways, off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more. Evan probably has some.
So Evan, I'm ready to go for marketing company. I'm saying, okay, I realize I don't know anything about marketing, and I need to find somebody who does, but I don't know how to tell. So can you give me a list of like 3 or 4 questions, or how do I vet a marketing company and come down with a short list so I know somebody that's a good match for me? Does that make sense? So I can tell whether, this guy makes sense or doesn't make sense. Because obviously, first I make this commit. Do I decide on the budget first? Like if I'm going to go buy a car, I'm going to spend $50,000 or $150,000. I can buy a different car, right? So do I decide on my budget first and then go find the company, or do I find a company who's going to help me find a budget? And then how do I do that?
Great question. I think it would depend on your knowledge base as an owner, right?
Okay, my knowledge base sucks. As an owner, I haven't done marketing. The most marketing I did was try to get people at my daughter's wedding. It doesn't matter. So I haven't got it here at all. So I don't even know what I don't know, which is scary, right?
Yep.
So I'm trying to. You're the expert. You've been doing this. Help me out here. Let's say for some reason I can't use you because you're my friend. I don't do business with friends, which is insane in my opinion, but I just have this point of view. Okay. So I'm saying, okay, Evan, I'm going to go find a marketing company. Help me out here. Do I go to AI and say, hey, ChatGPT, find a marketing company? Or do I go to Google, or how do I vet them? I mean, do I do my budget first, a marketing company second? I need to know, once I've decided, okay, next year, 2024, I want to do marketing. Yeah. Where do I start?
So I would start on getting clear on what it is that you want first, right? What are my goals?
I want more business. I want to go. I want to go from 2 million to 3 million.
Great.
And I don't know how to do it.
Cool. So now we've got a starting point, right? Because if we don't know what we want, then we're just getting in the car and driving somewhere and we don't know where we're going to end up, right? Okay. So that's the first step. Know what we want. Second step, have a rough idea as to what percentage you can spend on marketing, right? If you're
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, because it could be, I'm doing 3 million. I could spend 100,000 or 10,000. I don't know what to spend because I don't know what's going to work. I just want to spend the greatest ROI where I don't spend too much, but I spend enough, whatever the hell.
Absolutely. That is. Right. And that's what we need to come up with, a ballpark number based on our numbers, looking at our P&L statement. How much room do we have here in order to grow? Can we invest 2%, 5%, 10%, 20%?
I'm going to find a marketing company who's going to tell me that. I don't even know. I'm starting before that. I'm saying, do I go to Google? How do I get my short list of marketing companies for my company to call?
I would want to get a ballpark number in my head as to what I want to spend per month on marketing. Once I have that ballpark number, now I can go out and start finding marketing companies. The places I'd look, Google, number one, right? Because I want to see who can do what it is that I want them to do for me. If they can rank their business, they can probably rank mine. So that's number one. Number two, I go to our Facebook groups, right? What Facebook groups are you a part of that are industry secrets, success groups, etc., where you can reach out to other contractors and ask them, who are they using and can I get some referrals? Now we're having conversations with actual marketing companies. I want to know a couple of things. One, track record. Who have you done it with? I want to see some sites. I want to see what they look like. Two, do I like you? Can I get along with you? Three, who am I going to be working with directly? Is it you as the sales rep? Is it you as the owner? Is it an account manager? Who is it that I get to work with and have conversations with? What does that communication process look like? Are we meeting weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, annually? What does the communication look like back and forth? And lastly, who owns my shit? Because this is one of the biggest crocs within the marketing world that drives me absolutely up the wall, is when a company comes over to us and they don't own their domain, they don't own their website. And even worse is when they don't own their Google business profile or their analytics or their search console or any of their online presence. You need to make sure that you own.
It's like I've given away my children to somebody else to raise them, right?
Exactly. Right. You want to make sure that you own all of that information and you share access to another company. And if they're setting it up for you, they can set it up for you. We do this for clients all the time. We'll set up your stuff. You're the owner of it. And then we'll pass ownership over to them before we even start working with them, because we want to make sure that they own their shit at the end of the day, because that's just a trust thing for us, right? We want to build trust with you as a company by giving you ownership over your stuff, so that if you want to walk away, you can walk away. We don't want you to. We want to work with you, but the first rule in our agreement in working with any company is no assholes. So we don't want to be an asshole.
It's actually a clause in our agreement.
I see.
Yeah.
So we can fire you at any time because you're not a good guy, or vice versa, right?
Right, exactly.
So that's good. So I'm going to choose one thing because I don't know the numbers. So what percentage, you work with a lot of companies, and I know you like HVAC companies, which might have a lower ticket item but a higher margin. What kind of percentage am I looking at in my budget? Is it 2%, 10%, 5%? Because I think as a service company, it's got to be higher because my ticket's higher. Whereas, on a service company, I might be making 50, 60% a call. And if I'm a residential contractor, I might be making 20% gross profit.
Right.
So, but it's a bigger ticket, but obviously, there's a lot less margin.
Yeah.
So how do I look at my numbers and say, well, do I call all people in the community? Do I look on Google? Do I ask ChatGPT? I mean, how do I figure this out?
I mean, a good rule of thumb is around 5% should at least be spent on marketing and reinvested into marketing.
Does the 5% include the lunches I'm buying for my clients, my time, my staff's time, or is it just pure digital?
5% is whatever your investment is to marketing. So that could be wrapping your vehicles. That could be yard signs. That could be door hangers, direct mail pieces, the Little League sponsorship that you do to put your sign up at the Little League Diamond. All of those are marketing costs. Whatever it is that you're putting your branding into would go under marketing.
Okay. So 5% rough number. Then I go to the Facebook groups. That makes a lot of sense. So I guess if I'm going to make it, this is a great time of year to do this, guys, because it's like, now you need to start planning for next year. It's like almost too late, but for sure you need to start now, right?
Yep.
So
the other part, just in terms of the marketing budget, is also depending on your growth, right? How hard do you want to grow? If you are aggressive and you want to grow hard, well, maybe instead of going from 5, you go to 10, maybe you go to 15, right? So the answer is kind of, it depends on the business and what you want to do. I mean, if you're happy with being where you're at with slow growth, then 5%, right? If you really want to put some fuel on the gasoline, well, double that.
So you're telling me the more I spend on marketing, there's some kind of exponential quality to that. So if I spend 5%, I might get X. If I spend 10%, I might get 3X versus 2X.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, and to bring it back to the point when you and Thaddeus were doing the role playing, you want to own the lead, right? When you're advertising on Angie's List, you don't own that lead. It's going out to 50 people. Yelp, same thing. Well, when you're running a Google ad, they go to your landing page and they come directly to you. When you're running a Facebook ad, they message you directly. So you're owning that lead. Now they may contact other companies too, but they have to go through the effort of doing that, right? So you have a much higher opportunity of actually selling that lead at a higher margin price.
Right. So your closing ratio is obviously going to be higher for somebody that calls you versus they looked on House or Angie's List where they have like, let's call the 5 first people that come up, right?
Yeah.
And see
who's or even worse, I'm going to put my number into Angie's List and 50 people are going to call me, and Angie's List collects $50 every single time that they do that.
Right. I hate those leads because what happens is we'll find you people. And then what happens, they sell that lead to 20 different people, right? And they say, you're special, right? Not a good system. Well,
the other thing I was going to point out with the marketing budget too, is it depends on what your brand is, right? If you've got a plain white van with some lettering on it, it's not very memorable. It doesn't stand out. You're going to have to pay more in advertising costs, right? Overspending in advertising is the invisible cost for being unrememberable. It's the Dan Antonelli quote. He runs Kick Charge Creative, he stole it from Roy Williams. But having a great brand that is well represented in the community and it looks really good and it looks really high quality, people are willing to spend more to use you because the continuity and the consistency of the messaging goes all the way through to the work that you're completing. And
I was told by somebody once, you don't have to, if you're in Phoenix, you don't have to build a brand in entire Phoenix. You can take one little aspect of Phoenix and say, okay, in Glendale or whatever I am, in this little, I'm going to be the guy for this housing project or for Glendale, whatever. I don't have to take on all the Phoenixes. I'm going to get killed.
Correct.
So I can
Own your backyard.
brand. You can build brand by literally, geofencing or whatever, right? In location, it doesn't have to be for the whole city, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope all of you listening to this at least come up with a marketing budget for next year, right? Where you're going to spend it, it's up to you, but you need to have a marketing budget. I totally agree with these guys. But in case they decide to put you on the short list, guys, how can they get in touch with you?
A great way is via our website, onpurposemedia.ca, because we're Canadian, eh? We also have a free marketing analysis that's on the website as well. So if you did want to take a look at that and you're like, hey, and it's no obligation, no strings attached, by the way. If you're like, hey, this is great, I'd like to look at a little bit more information on what I'm currently doing to see if it's working, or if it's not, what would you guys do differently? You can fill that out as well as onpurposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis.
Okay. And you said you guys have a podcast?
Yes, sir. It's called HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. You can also find that on our website, onpurposemedia.ca, or just search HVAC Revealed. And basically all of page 1 will be us.
So I'm going to ask you a special thing. Can you give the listeners your personal email address or some email address they can reach you at?
Sure.
It's
Info
at onpurposemedia.ca or Thaddeus at onpurposemedia.ca.
I was going to go info at onpurposemedia.ca because that goes to both of us, but that works. Yeah. Our personal emails.
All right. Up close and personal. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you being here. If the audience takes anything away from this podcast, is if you don't start next year with some kind of advertising budget, you're making a huge mistake. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate being here.
Thanks, Paul.